when we were on the pod with August, we didn't have you, unfortunately, because there were two hot topics. First of all, of course, Argentina winning the World Cup. Congratulations once again. And then nice thread with Mike James. Right now, unfortunately, we don't have Augustas, who has a fever. Not Argentina fever, but probably
just cold.
Just cold, and we wish him speedy recovery. Although he actually answered a couple of questions, because a couple of questions were almost directed to him personally. So it's sad we're not three of us here, but at least it's great to see one big guy returning to the pod. So welcome back, Rytis. I expected you to wear something with Argentina, actually, and now I see KD.
Yeah, it's KD.
Man.
I was wearing my Argentina shirt for 2 days in a row, and I actually fell asleep with it at 6 a.m.
Okay.
And it was a bit dirty, so I had to wash it. And I have another messy shirt, but I thought, like, maybe it's time to just focus on basketball and... people already know how much it means to me that Argentina won the World Cup. And yeah, basically, the reason why I was not on the last pod was that Argentina won. We had I cannot even describe how I felt, the emotions during the broadcast. I cried, I fell off a chair, and it was just a crazy...
You fell off the chair?
Yes.
During the broadcast after?
Yes, during the very last sequence in the extra time when France almost scored, and then Argentina went on a counterattack and they had a chance. So during that sequence, I fell off the chair.
Okay.
I almost dragged all the equipment with me, but somehow I managed to stay on the ground, and I survived it, and my colleague survived. He was standing already at the moment. So yeah, after that, we had a...
You're real pro. I didn't even notice that during the broadcast.
I think I mentioned it, that I'm falling off
really?
the chair.
But so much stuff was happening during the game that nobody was listening to.
It was hard to focus on commentary, although we were shouting and screaming like crazy. But yeah, after that final, we had a small party with the colleagues to close the World Cup. I came back home. I had some beer, and I decided to watch the replay. I watched it twice.
Typical Rytis thing.
I watched it twice, and I fell asleep.
You watched it twice?
Twice, yeah. I fell asleep on the sofa.
Of course it did.
I woke up the next morning. I was feeling kind of...
It was already a morning, probably. Not the next
I think it was 11 a.m. or 12, something like that. I was feeling kind of dizzy, but it's a hangover. It happens. Then I... took my dog outside. I came back home and I felt like I'm shaking. So I had some fever, actually, and I decided that it's better for me not to arrive at the pod, because if I do, I don't think I will give any quality. And August, together with you, probably you will be more than capable of covering all the questions. But yes, after that, I had that interesting conversation with Mike James. Mike had a conversation with Shane Larkin on BasketNews Instagram, also on the same topic, and all of a sudden this box and one for 40 minutes became, I think, the biggest topic for discussion in European basketball community, because Faropoulos, Scariolo, everyone responded, and
which is so good. It's so good to hear these big statements coming from big-time EuroLeague members, and for people just to know what is actually the box and one defense, to hear from both sides how they see the game, how they feel about the game. I mean, I think it was a quality discussion, both on Twitter and between coaches and Mike.
And I replied, I retweeted to Mike after he, the next day after the game, he tweeted about this box and one for 40 minutes, how ridiculous it is. And my reply was in no way disrespectful towards anybody. I just wanted to state that box and one was used in the past by big coaches in some big games, in some big moments. I didn't even mention Nick Nurse and the Toronto Raptors against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. But Mike, what he wanted to emphasize is that it was not high usage of box and one. It was for 40 minutes, for the whole game. But when you look at it in a way that Alba Berlin, as huge underdogs, were playing away from home, and they were one shot away from winning it, basically the game was decided by Elio Kobo's game winner, you can say that for Alba it worked because somehow they were in the game. Whether it was because of the box and one or was it because of their offense, that's a different topic for discussion. And just the thing is, Alba Berlin with Israel Gonzalez, I don't think they would go for it.
Let's go to the questions part. This is the special Q&A episode. The entire episode is available for BN Plus members. You can join our community on basketnews.com/plus. All the other viewers will see some parts of this podcast, but once again, if you want to see the full episode, become our member. You can get a lot of extra features becoming BN Plus members. It's not just full URBONUS Q&A sessions, but also Rytis betting tips, Augustus breakdowns, opinion articles, and just being together with our community. For example, we're starting, before we had Facebook group for BN Plus members, but we're also starting a WhatsApp chat exclusively for those who support us on basketnews.com/plus. And we're just sharing what's behind the scenes of our daily work. We're sharing our plans, or we're just giving you a platform to participate in creating our content, not just by suggestions, but for example, I have an interview with Andrea Trinchieri tomorrow, and for example, I'm going to address the best question or the best topic tomorrow in the interview. For example, I will say that, Rytis Vyšniauskas wanted to know more about this and that. So I think it's pretty cool to be on the video, to be mentioned on the video, and especially talking with such greats like Trinchieri, there was Vasilis Panulis, Edi Tavares, and many more.
Are you excited, nervous about Trinchieri's interview?
I don't know, not at all. I don't know. I don't know why, but...
It's before the game.
It's on a game day.
On the game day, but
one-on-one
before the game.
Yeah, before the interview.
Because after the game,
it's different.
If things go wrong, Trinchieri sometimes is
can get a bit in trouble.
Spicy towards journalists.
But we created some nice bond starting from playoff series of the last year, because I was following Barca and Bayern. Yeah. So it was nice quality time to talk to him in the press conferences, and I really appreciate that he gave me this opportunity to talk to him one-on-one before the game on a game day, which is pretty rare. We'll see if it was the last bigger addition, because there are some rumors about some players who can leave. From what I heard recently, there are concerns about John Holland's future, which is pretty obvious. He's getting only like 8-9 minutes per game, and now this is the transfer window. The teams have 6 more days. EuroLeague players has still 6 more days to change teams if they want to play in the second part of the EuroLeague on a different organization. Actually, I was a bit surprised. Okay, not kind of surprised, but especially after the Partizan game, I had a different feeling. Hassan Martin was being shopped around the EuroLeague, at least before that game. And of course, he got the injury and nobody gonna sign him right now, but he was on the verge of leaving the club. So maybe we're, even now with Campazzo, with this huge signing, we're not seeing the final picture of Crvena Zvezda team. And anyways, let's get back to questions, and let's start with Rola's question. When the EuroLeague is so competitive in the recent years, especially this year so far, I guess, guys, what do you think? Isn't it the time for EuroLeague to consider our playoff system and top 8? Any discussion about that, how it could look like? Would it make sense for EuroLeague to make play-in tournament week? For example, teams from 1st and 6th seeds go straight to the playoffs. 7th, 8th seeded teams is waiting for 12, 9 seeds. 11, 10 teams match winners for the playoff spot fight. Could that week be held like Final Four in one arena and city, for example, London, for obvious reasons? So the question is pretty clear, and I think it's heavily related to the fact that Marshall Glickman, the CEO of the EuroLeague, mentioned that the expansion for the EuroLeague is it's something they're advancing and going forward to, and there will be some new EuroLeague format. And I believe that he mentioned conferences. So let's discuss this proposal and just the potential expansion formats in general.
I think part of the question was answered even last season when we were talking on similar topics, and we agreed that when you have 18 teams, only 8 making the postseason is unfair because you get 50%, 50% of wins or even more. You can finish 18, 16 and don't qualify for the playoffs. I don't think it's fair. I think from 18 clubs, the 10th seed at least should give you something.
Yeah.
So the playing tournament is one of the possible ideas, but if they're expanding the league, then obviously we're talking about conferences. I love the format where everybody plays each other twice because it's very fair. Nobody has any advantage, whether you have injuries in January or somebody has injuries in November or in May. Well, you live with it. It's part of the game, but the fair outcome is after 34 games, everybody plays each other twice. It's sort of like a football type of system where you play the table. Everybody plays each other twice, and who finishes higher on points is the champion. This is the regular season. I know this is deciding only the seedings for the playoffs, but 8 teams is not enough. When we had 16 clubs, it was okay. 50% of the teams qualify for the playoffs. It seemed fair, but when they added 2 more clubs, I think this provoked a discussion about the format. And I don't know. What do you think about the conferences idea? Is it necessary?
I'm not sure if I'm a fan of conferences or not, if it will help improve the game and intrigue of the tournament or not. Maybe yes. I'm actually hearing that